Hey everybody, welcome to the studio. My name is Mel, and actually we're not in my studio right now. We're in my office where I edit my videos. And as I sat down to start to put together and edit our leaf pressing video, I realized that there's no sound on my welcoming introduction where I welcome you and explain all of the materials we're using. So I'm going to do it here now rather than try to do a voiceover or a dub, because then I'll just look like a kung fu movie with bad dubbing. So, welcome. Let's get to painting. We're going to do this great leaf pressing painting where we paint the entire canvas surface one color and then use a light, medium, and dark tone to create some depth and dimension in our leaf pressings. So, if you ordered the kit, you're going to have a flat canvas panel, the red, yellow, orange, copper, black, and white paint. I'm going to list all the ingredients here on the screen for you. You'll also have a flat 1-inch brush and a sponge brush. We're going to use those to paint our leaves and to press them. And you'll notice you have to go and collect your own leaves. I recommend getting ones that are still green before they really start to turn color and get a little crunchy, and get 3 sizes, a larger one, a medium one, and a smaller one. Now, I did try to use this painting with silk leaves. I bought a variety of them, but they just don't work. We don't have the same veining structure and texture. So I really recommend just go find 3 different kinds of leaves out in your yard, pick them off a tree. They can all be the same kind of leaf. They can be different. You just want different sizes so that we can, create a little visual interest as we're working along. So if you're getting your own materials, keep in mind you can use any color palette that you want for this painting. I'm just going with a fall themed one. So whether you're using reds, blues, greens, purples, you want a dark shade, a medium shade, and a light shade. And then I like to throw in a little metallic. That's why I'm using the copper, because it goes with the red and the yellow and the orange. But you could use silver, you could use gold. It's entirely up to you. You just want to make sure that whatever surface you're painting on is flat. So if you're using a stretched canvas that's on like the wooden frame, it's going to dimple and give a little bit, and you're not going to have as much success with pressing your leaves. So find a flat surface, a canvas panel, a piece of canvas paper, regular paper, or even a piece of wood would be fantastic for this project. So get what you need. I've got everything listed here on the screen, and I'll meet you over in the next segment when we actually get busy. All right, you guys, let's get painting. So I am completely off camera, but you can see I've got my workstation set up here. I'm going to start with my black paint and my big brush. I like to always just give my brush a little dip in the water, drag those bristles across the edge to squeegee out any excess water. I'm going to come over to the edge of my black paint, pull a little away, and just like I'm sweeping, I'm just going to go back and forth and cover this entire canvas. Now we'll do one coat, and when that's on, we'll take a look at it. And if you decide that it needs a second coat, just hit it with your blow dryer and apply a second coat. We're not going to move on to the next step until you're satisfied with this background layer. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. It's a good time to just sort of turn on your favorite podcast or playlist and get going. So I'm going to fill mine in, and I'll see you back here in just a little bit. All right, so my first layer of black is done, and I realize there's some glare, so I'm just going to move it around. You can see that there's some streakiness and irregular coverage here. And I've got the time and the ability to do so, so I'm just going to put one more coat of black all over it. Still using my big brush and my black paint. And we're just going to put one more layer down. And as we work our way through, you'll find that it just takes one simple, easy coat. So if you decide to put one on, I'll meet you back here when you're done. Otherwise, I'll meet you back here when I'm done. Okay, so my entire surface has a second coat of black. And now we're going to start with our leaves. So let me put this up here where you can see it. And I like to start with the biggest leaves. And I use the back side. So these are a little dirty. I'm just going to sort of brush them off. but I like to use the back side that has the texture on the surface with the veins. And the first thing I'm going to do is just lay this down here on my palette. I'm just going to clean out my big brush here, give it a good bounce and wiggle on the bottom of my cup. Drag those bristles across the edge like you're scraping the frosting spatula. And I'm just going to give it a press with my paper towel to get all that excess paint water out. So now I'm just going to take a little red. I like to start with the darkest tones first. And I'm going to paint my leaf. I don't want it to be glopped on with big, thick sections, but just one nice, even coat right across. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do like to get the edges, just a quick covering. Get that all covered. And then, let me move this to the side. I'm going to pick up my leaf, turn it over, and press with my fingers. Leaving it in one spot, I'm just gently pressing down around the perimeter. Don't worry about the stem. We can always take our paintbrush and paint in the stem because they're kind of the hardest to get. So I just don't mess with it. I add it in later. And I'm just going to push this around. Rub my finger over it. You're going to get a little paint on this side of the leaf. It's okay. Isn't going to hurt anything. And then when you're ready, peel it up. And look at that. We've got a great impression of that leaf in red. So I'm going to add a few more. And there's no right or wrong way to place these. You'll find that you have to use a little less paint with each layer. I like to do a handful, maybe 3 or 4 in each size and color, but it's really up to you. I like to turn them so they're pointing different directions. And again, just gently, ever so gently, press down on it. You could use your sponge brush for this part if you're worried about getting it on your fingers. Just give it a little gentle dab. And it'll just sort of adhere itself. The paint will make it stick. And then when you're ready, pick it up and pull. Let's do a couple more in the red in the large size. And then we'll move to some smaller ones. A little bit more. I realize it's sort of off camera. Let's move this. There we go. A little bit more. That's the nice thing about working on a table surface is you can just sort of move things. And now that it's down, you can see I just gently press and sweep. And there we go. Lift that up. And that's all we need to do. Now, if you're worried about the stems, let me just show you right now. I'm going to take this skinny edge of my brush and the red paint and just pull a little line. 1 inch, maybe 2. And I'm going to do those as I go along so that I don't forget and have to add them later. Now I'm going to save this leaf. I'm just going to set it to the side and grab my medium size leaf. There's a lot of switching back and forth. Sorry, I'm trying to find a better setup for us, but I haven't quite figured it out yet. And again, rinse and repeat. Just going to paint the leaf. Get it ready to stamp. Now some of these should just go right off the edge. So you see how here I'm letting the edge of that leaf come over the edge of my canvas. I don't need to fit everything in here perfectly. Letting them overlap and move off the canvas helps with sort of the abstract nature here. We're going to continue with our dark color, so you can do as few or as many in red as you like. I like to get it just a little bit crowded before I start moving on to my medium tone. This one I'm letting it get really close. Remember, there's no rules here. We can just put them wherever we like, however we like. Takes all that stress out. And you don't even have to fill it with paint again. You could take it and try to get one more stamp out of it. And you get just a little light one there. Sort of saves my efforts. And I'm just going to try to get it one or two more before I run out of my red paint here. And then we'll move on to the orange. Let's see. We'll do one more here. Now, as I put this one down, it slid a little and left a few marks. You can take a little damp paper towel and wipe those up, or you can just leave them, because we're probably going to press a leaf over it again in a little bit anyway, so it won't matter. Let's try one more here, and then I think we'll move on to the orange. There's not a lot of paint left on this, so I'm just dabbing with my sponge brush, trying to get that to press in. I have filmed this video 3 times. I've done it with real leaves, I've done it with fake leaves, I've done it with sponge brushes, I've done it with paint brushes, and I think that this is probably the best method I've come up with. Real leaves. I wanted the silk ones to work, but they don't have the right texture. And then using that sponge brush to just press on top of that leaf. Now you can see I've got several of the large ones, several of the small ones now in my canvas. And I'm going to let these dry. Now you can hit them with your blow dryer, or you can just let them rest and dry. And when we come back, we'll start with our next shade, our medium tone, which for this will be the orange. Okay, so here we have our first layer of leaves in red done. And I've hit this with a heat gun and a blow dryer. Either one will work. You just want to make sure that these thick spots where the paint sort of gathers up on the spines of those veins, that those get dry, because otherwise you'll get clumps of paint there that will sort of splurt out when you do your next layer of pressings. So if I move this around, you can see without that glare, we've got some nice impressions going on in our bright red color. And now I'm going to start doing some in my orange. So let me move things over. Again, just cleaning my brush, sweep it on the bottom of your cup a few times, bounce it a little bit, drag those bristles across the edge, and just give it a press into your paper towel to soak up any extra. And see, there was still a lot of red water and paint in my brush, but now it's in my paper towel. So I'm going to start again with my big leaf, and there's still some red paint on it. I'm not going to sweat that. I'm just going to set my leaf over here and start spreading some orange paint on it. Just working that in just like we did with the red. Try to get a nice even layer. And then we will turn it over, find a spot, set it down, and I'm going to use my handy dandy sponge brush and just pat it down. Give it a good press. Once it's stuck evenly across the canvas, lift that stem and pull it up. And we're going to keep repeating this. You can do as few or as many as you like. It's entirely up to you. There's no rhyme or order or reason. Just whatever makes your heart happy. As Tabitha Brown says, measure with your heart. Do another one. I mean, how easy is this, you guys? Ta-da! Now, I want to show you a fun technique that you can do. I'm adding some more orange paint here, but I'm not adding as much. And I'm going to try to lay it over where I stamped red earlier. And give this, again, a sweep and a press. And then when I lift it up, we've got the red under the orange, and it gives that even more depth. So let's just keep working our way here around our canvas. You can layer, you can overlap. It's your painting, they're your leaves. Do whatever you like. Just gonna sort of squash this one here. Press and dab, like you're using the little sponge egg, blending your contour. But our goal here is just to stamp this leaf and peel it up. Boom, look at there. I think I'm gonna do one more with a big orange leaf, and then I'm gonna move to a smaller, maybe a medium size. And let's move this in here where we can see what's going on. I'm going to let this one go off the edge of it. And let it overlap with this red one here. Everything is going to be layered and overlapped by the time we're done here. So just a gentle press, peel it off. Now remember, if you're worried about your stems, you can just take the skinny edge of that paintbrush and put in a quick line to indicate where your stems are. All right, so I'm going to switch now to my medium size leaf, still using the orange. Come through and add some of these. And this time I am going to use the baby sized leaf. I didn't do it with the red because I wanted those to be larger underneath to help create some depth and dimension to this piece. But I'm just stamping with my medium-sized leaf now. So take your time, it's not a race. Have yourself a little fall festive cocktail, maybe a hot toddy. And keep on going. One more here with the medium leaf, and then I'm going to move to the smaller one. So simple. You could do this with kids. You could use a stamp if you didn't have a leaf. You can use many kinds of leaves and switch into the small one. We haven't brought that one in. Remember, when you switch leaves, you always want to have that veiny, textured side with the paint. And I'm just going to add a few of these little guys here in different spots. Second verse, same as the first. Just lay it down and give it a good press. Lift it up. Now I am running out of orange here. So I think I'm going to do just one more with this small leaf. And then I'm going to move on to my yellow. There we go. Look at that. We've got some really nice impressions there. I'm leaving some negative space. That's really just a personal choice how you choose to do that. Give my brush here a quick rinse. Get that orange and red out of it. Drag the excess water out. Press it dry. And now we're going to move to the yellow. Now with this yellow, I like to take just a little bit of white and work it into the edge. Just a tiny bit, not enough to change the color, but enough to kind of give that yellow some oomph because it's pretty translucent. So I'm going to start with my medium leaf. There's still orange paint on it. I'm okay with that. And now, if you look closely, you can see I've got orange and yellow smeared in there together. And this is where the magic is going to start happening. Lay it down. Give it a press and a blot. Grab that stem and lift it up. And that's where we start to get some cool stuff happening, is when these colors start to mix and mingle a little bit. So you can start to pick up little bits of red that are left on your palette, little bits of orange, and really just start letting those colors mix and mingle a little bit. And these are just so easy to press, especially with that sponge. Keep working my way through here, adding some more. Tapping them in. And moving them along. Now remember, we've got copper yet to go, and we still have our smallest leaf to add with some yellow. So I'm not going to go too crazy here. I don't want it all of a sudden to become really bright and shiny. I'm going to do that in layers. So I'm pretty happy with these like 4 or 5 medium-sized leaf pressings I've got. Don't want to forget my stems. Taking that skinny side of the brush. Just adding a little stem where it might be needed. And now I'm going to switch back to that small one. Add in that yellow. Wherever you might want it. As few or as many. It's your painting. The nice thing about this is I always say that you should stop when you think you have enough and come back and look at it the next day. Because once you take a little bit of distance from a piece that you're creating, you get a little bit more perspective. You're better able to look at it with fresh eyes and identify what you like, what you don't like. Sometimes you can just stare at a piece forever and say, I'm not sure, I don't think I like this. But you can't identify what it is. And I find that taking a break from a piece and walking away from it really affords me that opportunity to come back with some fresh eyes and see what's going on. Okay, so here we go. I'm actually pretty happy with this. So I'm going to hit it with the blow dryer one more time, get these layers nice and dry, and then we're going to come back in and add some copper. All right. Whoops, made a mess there. She's dry and ready for the next and final layer. I'm going to use my medium and small leaves, clean out my brush one more time. Good wiggle and jiggle there. Scrape off the excess water. Grab my paper towel. Try not to burn myself on my heat gun. And we are going to use this shiny metallic copper. Scoot things over so you can see what's happening. And I'm going to paint my medium leaf with this metallic copper. Turn it over. Find a spot. Give it a press. Now, metallic paint doesn't look really shiny and sexy until it dries. So don't panic if it just looks a little opaque or cloudy. Metallic paint gets shiny when it dries. That's just the way it is. We gotta wait and be patient. Find a new spot here. Give it a press. Pull that up. So you can keep using your small, your medium, even your large. It's up to you. Space and overlap in whatever way makes you happy. And just keep pressing. I'm not really thinking about where I'm putting these. Just dropping them in there. The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced I'm gonna make the wrong decision. It's sort of like the grocery line. Just pick one and stick with it, because when you switch lines, the person in front of you all of a sudden has 47 coupons, and it takes forever. So I just like to pick one and stick with it. Don't worry about it. And I really like using the copper as the top layer, because it just gives a really nice pop to everything. Ooh, I did burn my hand there on that heat gun. Darn it. Got to be a little more careful. Guess that's why a blow dryer is probably a better option. And here we go. Give it one more there. All right. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to get a little bit of copper and come in and add a few stems to these leaves. Drop my brush in the water. Move all of this out of the way because it's making a mess. But let's take a look. What do you think? Look at that. So shiny and fall and festive. And how easy was this? How easy. So having seasonal art is really a great way to decorate and get yourself in the mood for the holidays. I've got a lot of fall paintings that we're offering that'll get you right through to Thanksgiving. And I'm also going to have a bunch of Christmas ones. And that's my favorite way to decorate for the winter holidays, is with all this seasonal art. So we'll work our way to that. But for now, let's just stick with fall until we get through Halloween and Thanksgiving. But, I mean, come on. Look at her. She's so pretty. All right. Now, I'll be right back. So there we go. How easy was that, you guys? So many people tell me I can't paint, but anyone can do this. I mean, look at, and look. Look how lovely this ends up being. There we go. We can get some of that without all that glare on it. But I mean, come on. And you could do this in so many colors. You could do it for spring with pinks and blues or purples, even nice lush greens. I had a great time painting with you today. I hope that you had fun. Please come join our Facebook group over on the Facebook, Paint with Mel and Friends. I'll be sure to put the link here on the screen. And you can follow me on Instagram, Paint with Mel, TikTok, same thing. And I hope that I get to paint with you again real soon. Make sure that you tag me if you post your photos on social media. Just use hashtag Paint with Mel, and I should find them. But it has been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see how your leaf pressings turned out. So send me photos, you guys. Be well. Have a great Halloween and a great Thanksgiving, and I'll see you to paint something for Christmas. Okay, you guys. Bye. Thanks.